Yehuda Amichai's poem, I Wasn't One of the 6 million, begins like this. I wasn't one of the 6 million who died in the Shoah. I wasn't even among the survivors. And I wasn't one of the 600,000 who went out of Egypt. Only a brave poet would invoke the 6 million in the opening line. Why? There's a sort of unspoken rule amongst Holocaust educators that references to the 6 million are rarely helpful, and they often make people feel alienated. What could 6 million look like? And why should it be such a round number? And what about their lives and their stories? The questions go on. But then perhaps that's exactly what the poem is saying. Amichai compares the 6 million who died with the experience of the 600,000 Israelites who went out of Egypt. What's interesting is that the Torah tells us that it was in Egypt that the Israelites became a nation. Maybe then Amichai suggesting that the Jews have been made into a nation twice, once upon leaving Egypt and once during the Holocaust. But wait, there's more. Amichai's poem continues, I came to the promised land by sea. Look, it might not look like much, but Amichai's brief description of his journey by sea to Israel is a powerful one. In Hebrew, the word for to cross, like crossing a river, is ivr, like EVR, which is where we get the word ivrit Hebrew from. What Amichai is saying then is that instead of being a Jew and being killed by the Nazis, and instead of being an Israelite and enslaved by the Egyptians, he chooses to be a Hebrew. He crosses over. He crosses the sea. Amichai wasn't the only person to think of himself as Hebrew rather than as a Jew or an Israelite. When the UN passed the partition plan and gave the green light to a Jewish state in 1947, a lot of the newspapers in Hebrew celebrated the birth of Medinat Ivrit, the Hebrew state, which did not have a name yet. The birth of Israel was a time for reinvention, and this time the Jews were proudly different from their ancestors. They had made the leap, they had crossed the sea, they were Hebrews. But there's a couple of issues with that, though. Firstly, what does it say about the Jews who did perish in the Holocaust, and even the survivors? Were they weak or wrong? I think you'd agree that these suggestions are not just offensive, but also completely unfounded. And secondly, what does this mean about the modern state of Israel? If Amichai really feels different to his ancestors, then the Israel that he lives and writes in would have to leave the Holocaust behind as ancient history. And maybe it did. Until Adolf Eichmann was tried on live television in Jerusalem in 1961, people hardly mentioned the Holocaust. But Israel today is a different beast. Its national memorial to the Holocaust at Yad Vashem is connected by a walkway to its national and military cemetery at Har Herzl. The Holocaust is the only historical event that's taught through the Israeli curriculum from kindergarten through to college. In short, Israel knows that it's a post-Holocaust state. And it's the Jewish state anyway, not the Hebrew one. That's what it calls itself. Amichai knows that too, though. That's why the poem doesn't end with his arrival to Israel. If only life was so simple. The rest of his poem, which Dagan is about to read, is all about the delicate balance between living with the Holocaust as a part of us and also trying to put it behind us. For me, it beautifully explains how, as Jews, we can have a relationship with our past in a way that's challenging, uncomfortable, and almost miraculous. That's what makes it memory, not history, this Holocaust Memorial Day.
I wasn't one of the 6 million who died in the Shoah. I wasn't even among the survivors. And I wasn't one of the 600,000 who went out of Egypt. I came to the promised land by sea. No, I was not in that number, though I still have the fire and the smoke within me, pillars of fire and pillars of smoke that guide me by night and by day. I still have inside me the mad search for emergency exits, for soft places, for the nakedness of the land, for the escape into weakness and hope. I still have within me the lust to search for living water, with quiet talk to the rock, or with frenzied blows. Afterwards, silence, no questions, no answers. Jewish history and world history grind me between them like two grindstones, sometimes to a powder. And the solar year and the lunar year get ahead of each other or fall behind. Leaping, they set my life in perpetual motion. Sometimes I fall into the gap between them to hide, or to sink all the way down.